Hey guys, it's Miss Allison. We are back. We are starting a new lesson this month, and we're going to be using chalk pastels. So if you have not unpacked your box yet, you can go back and watch our unboxing video and unpack your box and see what all you have in there. The only thing that you're going to need that you do not have in your box, and that's because we sent it in a previous box, is some glue. So I'm just using Elmer's school glue. If you don't have what was in your box previously, or if you're just joining us for the first time, go ahead and grab some Elmer's glue, or just any kind of liquid glue like this will work. All right. So we're going to be doing some outlines and background work today. And then your next lessons will be how to go back in and fill in using your chalk pastels. So we're doing a little bit of prep work today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So for our first one, what we're going to do is we are going to be doing a sunflower. So I've opened up my bottle pretty wide. I want a good wide line for this, and you're going to be able to see this as I put it on here because this is white glue on black paper. Okay, so today we're going to be doing the background for a sunflower and then fish. And then we will come back with the next video and start on how to do the pastels for each of these pieces. But you want your glue to be completely dry. So this prep work will get you ready, but then you'll need to let it dry at least for a day or so until the glue is clear and it's not wet anymore. Okay, so what we're going to do is, like I said, I've opened this up pretty wide because I want a good wide line to be able to draw my lines. One other thing that you want to do is make sure you leave bigger spaces in between your glue lines. With chalk pastels, they are a little bit wider, and so it's harder to get a lot of detail in a piece. You can get details, but with the way that they work, it's just a lot harder to get them into smaller spaces. And so we want to make sure that we leave ourselves plenty of room. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make our sunflower kind of off to the side a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my circle. And if you want to do this in pencil before you do it in glue, feel free to do that too. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down not quite halfway, and I'm going to draw my circle around this way. Now, I do not have a very wide bead of glue, so I'm going to open this up a little bit more, and I'm going to go back and do that line again. And I want you to see the difference between the first one and the second one. And I want my line to have some height to it, so I'm making sure you can do this without dragging it on the paper. But if you do drag it on the paper, just make sure it's not flat. You want it to have some height to it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out and make my petals. So I'm going to go out this way and then out this way, just like that. So what I'm doing is I'm making those sunflower petals, and they're not going to show up like the whole petal's not going to show up necessarily, but oh, right here, I don't have enough height on that. I want to make sure that it gets pretty high right there. And all of these are a little bit too small. So that's one nice thing, is you can go back and kind of make them bigger if you need to, if they're too small. And then this will take a good while to dry. And so you want to make sure that you give it plenty of time. All right. These are not lessons that you can rush this month. So you just want to make sure you've got time for it to dry, and make sure you don't set anything on top of it too. All right. So I'm going to go back and retrace that line. And now I'm going to do mine like a sunflower, but if you want to do yours with something like other colors, feel free to do that. It's not a big deal if you want to do it with other colors. All right. So that is all we have to do for our petals. Now I'm going to go back and add some other lines in here just to create some texture and some space. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to just put some lines in around the petals. So these are not going all the way up. Some are going to be longer than others. Okay. And these are a little bit smaller lines. Like the bead is a little bit more narrow than what it was when I did my original lines. Okay. And that's okay if you do that on these. If they're a little bit smaller, that's okay. So I'm just going back to my original line, and that way I don't have to worry about spilling this anywhere. Okay. So those are done there. I'm going to go a little bit taller with this one just because I can. I've got some room to do that. And then this last one here. Again, you want to make sure that your line is not completely flat, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be as big as the original lines. Okay, so I've got my petals done. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do some dots in here, okay, to create the seeds that will be in the middle of my, whoop, I got a line there. That's okay. I just need to be a little bit more careful. So I'm not going to try and fix that because I don't want to leave a film with my glue. So I'm just going to leave it. We're going to let it do its thing. It'll still be really pretty. And I'm just being more careful now with my dots of glue. So we're going to do that. And then when all of these dry and we get ready to do the middle of our flower, we'll have all these spaces that'll be clear and you'll be able to see through to the paper. Even though our middle will probably be pretty dark, you'll still be able to kind of see through to the paper and it'll create a really cool texture. All right. So there is our flower that we're going to be doing. Now I'm going to move this off to the side so that it can start to dry. Let me slide it off. All right, for our next one, we're going to do fish, and we're going to kind of lay them in on top of each other so they're going to kind of nest in the paper. And what that means is they're going to lay kind of on top of each other and fit onto the paper. So if you want to start with a pencil, feel free to do that. And if you want to just start with the glue, you can do that as well. We still want to have a good bead of glue. So you want to open this up pretty wide. And then we're going to start with our with one of our fish. All right. And it doesn't matter where you start. You can start wherever on the paper that you want to. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to kind of draw out our fish shape. And I'm going kind of long, like a torpedo kind of look. Okay. So I've got my fish shape. I'm going to do my fin at the top. Okay. And then my fins at the bottom. Just like that. All right. So you can do these wherever you want to. We're going to, I'm going to kind of start another one to here. Remember, we're doing like a torpedo shape. A fin at the top. And if my fins go off of the page, that's okay. Just make sure you've got something underneath or make it where you can clean off your table easily. All right. And then they almost look like airplanes too. That's kind of cool. So if you want to do airplanes with it, you can. All right, and then I'm going to do one more here. Just like that. So you see how they're kind of like coming along together? That's what we're wanting to do. All right, so I've got one more that I'm going to do here. And remember, they're not all going to be full fish. We're going to have them going off of the edge of our paper at some point. And so I think I'm going to leave mine just like that. I've got 2 full fish on here, 2 partial fish, and I think I'm happy with that. Now what I need to do is go in and start making a design on here, okay? So instead of drawing out more fish, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a design inside my fish. Now, your design is up to you. You can do it however you want to. And you can do different designs in each fish. It is totally up to you. So I might do some dots in a fish. Have some speckled fish. And if you'll notice, I'm doing, some of these dots will be full dots and some will be partial dots. They'll kind of go, you know, off to the side of the fish. Totally up to you, okay? And just like we did on our sunflower, you can make these detail lines a little bit smaller if you want to, but we still want to make sure that we have a good amount of space in there, okay? Let's see, I'm going to do vertical stripes, or I guess horizontal stripes on this one. All right, now I'm going to go back in and add some lines on the tail. Just like that. Remember, I'm leaving enough space for me to use my chalk pastels when I get ready to do those, and this is nice and dry. And I'm just going to do the 2 lines on there, okay? Also going to do an eye for the fish. So I'm just doing a bead of glue, just a dot right there. And I think I'm going to do one right there for that one. Okay, so I'm going to let this one dry. And then when it's dry, we'll come back and do our next lesson to fill all of this in. Okay, so that's it for today's lesson. Go ahead and get those 2 prepped and ready to go. And then in your next 2 lessons, we will go back and show you how to fill in with the chalk pastels and make these come to life. Have a great day. I can't wait to see what you create.